So we're going into lesson 3 now of module 1. And as I said before, the main point of this lesson is to start helping you build a mental framework for the journey and challenge that attachment styles are. Now, what a mental framework is basically a lens to help simplify complex situations. So attachment styles are very complex. Relationships are very complex. And now we're putting two of those things together. Attachment styles in relationships. It's a mess. It's intense. There's a lot of nuance. There's a lot of stuff that goes into it. A mental framework is to help you simplify the situations and challenges you face and make more successful and beneficial things because you are focusing on the right information. Cognitive behavioral therapy is a mental framework. Somatic therapy is a mental framework, so on and so forth. And they all help you understand complex life things in a more simple way. This one is about 8 years of me going through this myself, learning and understanding things hands-on, and then also combining it with psychology and like a pursuit of psychology degree and blah, 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 and turned it into my own mental framework. The goal of this, especially, Natalie, you'll enjoy this, is to help you have more awareness in those moments where you are triggered, to help you really be able to feel when those limiting beliefs, fears, and stuff are coming up and taking over. So it'll be a good one. Okay. And then obviously, as a byproduct of that, you'll have more charge. You'll be more in charge and in control of yourself. You'll also understand yourself a lot better. And the very cool thing about this, but also just in general about understanding yourself more, which many clients of mine have come back and told me is very true. As you understand yourself more, you will start to understand other people more, why they do things, why they are the way they are, all that kind of thing, which is really cool because it feels like a superpower. Okay. Very important part here is after everything we've been through, all these emotional patterns, all these sabotage loops, you might be wondering, how do I then tell what's true or what's true for me? How do I know what is quote unquote healthy or unhealthy or aligned or not aligned, so on and so forth? And this is what this lesson is for. We're here to separate the noise from the truth. So I'd like you to imagine that there are two voices in your head. Some of you might think there are multiple, more than that already, but just imagine there's two for right now. And we're going to call one the true self, and we're going to call one the negative voice. Now, what I'll do is I'll describe each of them, and as I do, I want to invite you to think about moments where you can almost feel or remember one or two of those voices. So if I were to describe the negative voice, it's loud, it's urgent, it's fear-based, it's judgmental, it's controlling. It can feel dark, evil, gross, toxic, constricting, heavy, etc. So just let that sit with you for a bit and see if you can remember any times in your life where you had some type of voice like that come up in your head. I mentioned this before, but for right now, we're going to frame it as like this bad or evil thing. And that's actually very important to view it that way, at least in the beginning of your journey through attachment styles. But just in the back of your mind, remember that this negative voice isn't actually evil. This negative voice is basically those limiting beliefs that came from before that were in its own way trying to keep you safe to a certain extent. That was trying to keep you comfortable and getting what you needed in weird, wild, and wacky ways back when you were younger. In a way that it thought it was doing what was right. And it still thinks it's doing what's right. So try not to view it as evil, but definitely view it as like, that's not how to do it anymore. Think of it like a little kid who, for whatever reason, learned that, pulling on girls' hair when they were younger to get their attention was a good thing. It's like, Not evil, but definitely not how to do it. It's doing, again, it's also doing what it thinks it's best and the ways that it knows how. So just as an example, my negative voice would come up a lot in relationship, but also in general socializing and trying to be a better version of myself. I gave it a name, which is actually something I will invite you guys to do in an activity that we do. And I called it lethargy, which was like a play on lethargic, because whenever an opportunity came up to go be social or do something interesting or new, whatever, it was like, no, you can't do that. What if you embarrass yourself? Like, what if you don't do it right? All that kind of thing. And it would keep me small. It would keep me in its mind safe, but it was ultimately holding me back. It was stopping me from living my life. I wouldn't be here speaking to you now. I wouldn't have the social media if I listened to that negative voice. So even if nothing else about this lesson makes sense, if I've helped you in any way through the videos or even through this, if I listen to the negative voice, I would not be able to. So if that's not evidence or proof not to listen to your fucking negative voice, like, please let it be. If I were to describe the true self, it would be calm, it would be exciting, it would be passionate, it would be energetic. There might be a little bit of nervousness involved in the true self, but it's not like this deep anxious fear. It's like, I wonder what could happen, and like a little bit of like, anticipation kind of thing. It feels expansive, it feels warm, it feels compassionate, all the good things, if you want to call it that. So again, see if in your life you could recognize that type of voice coming up in some way or another. And by the way, just a little side piece here. It might come up after you've done something quote unquote unhealthy or not great. And it might stop and be like, dude, like, you know that's not you. And you might feel that or view that as like guilt, but it's more of like that wasn't you. It's like this compassionate yet direct and stern part of you that's like, something's up here, something's not really clicking or aligned. And it's actually that part too that I know is what caused all of you to look at anything like this on social media and also join this course right now. It's that part of you, that true part of you, that true self, that is trying to call out to you to shift you into doing growth and work so that you can become more confident in that true self. So just to give you a couple examples of how they might sound different. If there is a delay in text, for example, it's been a couple hours since your partner's texted you back, the negative voice would be like, they don't care. They're with someone else. They're not interested in you anymore. You're not funny enough or attractive enough or whatever. Any of those negative thoughts we spoke about. You can, at least for right now, you can pretty much assume that any negative thought that comes after a trigger is going to be what I call the negative voice. You can almost imagine it like it's this thing sitting on your shoulder speaking to you in those moments. Your true self in that moment might feel like, I'm feeling uncertain, but I can hold this. I'm feeling uncertain. Let me try to understand this better. Let me be curious. Let me gain evidence. Let me find out the truth. So you can see, even if something is happening outside of you that is actually negative, the true self wants to still handle it in a healthy, calm, strategic way, as opposed to just like that immediate reaction type of stuff. So when it comes to boundaries, if you are wanting to or needing to set a boundary, the negative voice might be like, you're too much. Don't set a boundary. You're going to be too much. You're going to push someone away. They'll be mad at you, etc., etc. The true self would be like, my needs are valid. This is something that needs to be discussed. I have every right to set this boundary, to create safety for myself.